Okay, welcome back. So we're going to go into position next. It's very important, this one. We've had to come back to another day because the last lot that we were recording, we mustn't have pushed the pause button, or I did something wrong when I was putting it on the computer somehow. Anyway, position. I'll read it out first. The trainee adopts positions that give them an advantage over any potential assailant or assailants, keeping their assailant in their centre, which is basically in front of you, okay, at all times. A safe distance is maintained whenever possible or re-established as soon as possible. Positions are changed when required and are relative to the assailant and the environment. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to briefly pause it and set the camera up, and myself and Teresa are going to go through and go through a practical example of position, getting yourself into a dominant position and maintaining that dominant position through centre. Okay, I may even cover a little bit about distance as well, because position actually comes into that as well. Okay, but let's get into it. Okay, so position. The first thing we want to do is we want to have an advantageous position over our attacker, our assailant. So let's go into close distance first, and then we'll talk about a little bit of position further away from the person. Here, myself and the assailant or the other person are facing each other. So we've got our centres facing each other. So this is my centre in front of me here, okay? And if I turn this way, my centre is in front of me here, okay? And vice versa, if I turn this way, it's this way. If I turn around, my centre is over here. Okay, and that's the same for Teresa. Her centre is facing this way in front of her. Okay, if she turns that way, her centre is now facing this way, and if she turns any other direction, the centre follows. Okay, so when we're dealing with an assailant, we always want to position ourselves where we have a part of the other person in our centre. This is our strong area. Okay, and we must position ourselves so that the other person is in our centre, or a part of them is in our centre that we can use to attack the other person, okay, or should I say defend ourselves, okay. Right, so on the flip side of the coin there, we need to make sure that we're not in our attacker's centre. We don't want to be here. If she was to throw a punch here, she's going to hit me with full power, okay, so I'm in a bad position, I'm in a bad place. Alright, I need to move, alright, and we've talked about movement, okay, but I would need to move. But let's start off with up close, as I said. So the first position here would be, this is bad for me, okay. Yes, I could defend myself from this position, but it's not really the best position that I want to be in. If I can move just off centre of Teresa's, this is Teresa's centre, so I'm moving just off centre, okay, on basically a 45-degree angle off her centre. This is better than being in front of her, okay, because if she was to strike here, she's going to get maximum force. If her centre was still facing this way and she tried hitting this way, it's going to start getting weaker. Her hit, her grab, her pull, whatever it may be, okay. Now, if I move from here to here, this is even better, a better position for me than here, most power, here, less power, here, even less power, okay? And some people might say, well, no one's going to hit you like that. Well, people do. I've seen people trying to hit backwards, okay? People do all kinds of things because they don't understand centre. The next place for me would be on a 3/4 angle around her, from this angle, Okay, that's even better now. And then right behind the person, where I have them in my direct centre, and her centre is facing out that way, well away from me, this is the best position, standing up. And obviously, if she was lying down with her centre facing towards the ground, you know, stomach down, then that would be even safer for me, because now she can't really hit anything. Her centre's facing down. Right? Obviously, the same thing would go the opposite way. Here's bad. Well, it's not the greatest of positions for us. Here's better, even better, and the best place of all, standing. Okay? So that's how we want to position ourselves around the person. Okay? Now, the difficulty with this is that people will say, yeah, but the person will just follow you. So when I move from here to here, she'll turn. Yep, that's right, the person could turn. Or when I move from here to here, the person will turn, and so on. And if I go the other way, the person will turn. The other way, the person will turn. This is true. However, if we have the opportunity, we're going to take it where we're not going to let the other person follow us. Okay? So that would be pointless if we were just moving and the person was kept following us. Okay? So we have to stop the other person from following us. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we put them in a lock. Okay, we put them in a lock and we move. So for example, let's take for example, I don't know, she wants to grab any hand. Right, she decides to grab this hand here. Okay, from here I could move off centre. So I've moved off the centre, I'm over here. Yes, I'm facing this way. Okay, I don't have it fully in my centre here, but I have a part of her body, which is her hand, her arm, in my centre here. Okay, I've moved off her centre, I've moved offline, is another way of putting it, and I've got a part of her body in my centre. So now from here, when I get into this position, I can then be attacking the arm, okay, through here and down, okay, alright. From here I could come up and I could continue the attack, right. I've still got a part of her body in my centre, her arm, whereas for her, there's nothing in her centre. Maybe my foot's sort of getting close to it, but that's not going to do her any good grabbing that, because it's locked in through our stance. Okay, so we always want to move out of her centre, her power zone, and keep a part of them in ours. We always want to move into a position to do that. Okay, this is very important, and whenever you're doing techniques or anything like that, if you think you're doing something wrong, ask yourself the questions. Am I in a good stance? Have I moved offline from the other? Am I in a good stance? Am I maintaining balance? 2, am I moving into a better position? You know, am I moving out of the other person's centre? Okay. Number 3, do I have a part of them in my centre, part of this other person, this assailant, in my centre? Okay, and if you're doing those 3 things, you know you're doing well. Okay, so another one, we might go this way this time. Okay, here, alright, so I'm stepping in, so I've moved off her centre, away from her centre. Okay, I'm grabbing her arm at the same time, I'm moving it up, okay, into a circular motion, alright, and I'm coming down and I'm dropping the person down, right? From here I can step in, right? So I've got a part of her in my centre, and she's got nothing of me in her centre, right? And that's what we want to do, okay? Another one might be to, let's say I wanted to get behind this person, okay? All right, so I might shake the hand here. I'm behind her centre now. Here's her centre going this way. Right, so if I pull it back, okay, her centre's going to be going up that way, right, and I'm in the best position here because she's fully in my centre and I'm behind her, okay, alright, so there's lots of things that we can do to get into an advantageous position that is advantageous to us, okay, against our attacker. Okay. Sometimes the attacker will actually move themselves, and they'll do it for us. Sometimes we have to move them and do it for them. But as you can see, once we get the person there, they can't just decide, well, I'm going to follow you, because we're not going to let them do that. Okay, we're just not going to let them do that. Another simple one to get right behind the person as an example of position. Here I'm in a bad position. The person is up on me, telling me what to do and everything else, and I'm like, oh, okay, and then I'm like, thanks, right? And I've got the person, all right? And I'm right behind them, and their centre is facing away from me. That's the best position for me when you are in a confrontation, okay? A physical confrontation with this person, okay? So what would allow me to do that, a technique like that just there? If this person walked up on me and was like this, and fists were clenched or whatever, and they're going on about beating me up or something like that, they're committing assault. We've already covered assault, okay? Her intent is there, right? Especially if she would be telling me this, and her body language, her gestures and everything is telling me that she's wants to beat me up, which means she's committing assault. She's already breaking the law, and I can defend myself. All right, I've only got to ask two questions. One, I've got to make sure she's committing assault. I tick two boxes. One, does she have the intent? Yes, clearly through her body actions and everything else. And two, does she have the ability to carry out that intent? Okay, can she actually hurt me in the process of if she makes that attack? And if I tick those two boxes, that's assault. Okay, right? Intent, ability. Does the person have the intent? Yes. Do they have the ability? Yes. Okay, then it's assault. Tick the two boxes, react. Okay, simple as that. At minimum force, remember. Always minimum force. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense for the position around the person. The next one is, if I can take you back just a little bit about there, and I was here. The next thing is position from a distance, okay? I want to position myself to an advantageous position, and that may be, if you go back a little bit further, right, to about there. In like a punching fight, this would be a good safe distance, right? Or a good safe position for me, okay? If I came up closer, this is not a good position if she wants to punch me, throw a punch. Okay, it's better position for me, a more advantageous position is here for me. Okay, so now from there, just standing there, throw a punch as hard as you can from there. Right? Can't hit me. Advantageous position. Okay, yes, she could come forward and you know, push herself forward and launch an attack and come right forward towards me to throw the punch. But I have distance on my side. I'm in an advantageous position where I've got distance in front of me where I can see the type of attack that she's making. Okay? This is an advantageous position for me. Okay? So if she now came forward to launch an attack all the way up to me, okay, go. Alright? I can stop her. Okay? Because I can see the type of attack she's going to make. She's going to make a punching attack. Okay? She's launching her attack. I don't care how fast she wants to launch the attack. The faster the better, in my opinion, because then she can't stop in time to defend herself, right, from my attack, and I'm counter-attacking, or what we'd call self-defense. I'm defending myself. Okay, so she's going to run into it. She's like a car coming down the road. When it slams its brakes on, right, it can't stop in time. It's going to run into whatever. Right, it's too late. Right, so you can't just like stop and rewind. Okay, so you put yourself into an advantageous position. Sometimes that position is always with distance. You've got to use distance to your advantage. Okay, so one of my personal sayings is distance is one of your best friends. Okay, distance is one of your best friends. Use it. Okay. The other thing we can do is if somebody comes up on us, we don't have to do an attack if we feel that it's not unnecessary. We could just step back. Alright? We can step back. So if the person's up here, we can say, hey, stay back. Alright? And create distance between us and them. Alright? Didn't have to do anything to the person. But now, if I'm telling them to stay back and they keep coming forward, they're clearly showing me their intent. Okay, if someone tells you to stay back and you keep going forward, the intent is clear. They want to get close enough to hit you, right? Unless the person wants to come closer to try and give you a kiss, right? Their intent is they want to hit you, okay? So you can clearly see that if that's what the person's doing. You can tell by whatever's been happening in the scenario, okay? Have you been arguing prior? Does the person have a problem? Are they angry? Are they wobbling about everywhere trying to take everybody on? You clearly know if their intent is there and you're telling them stay back, right? And they keep wanting to come forward to you, okay? So you're in an advantageous position, especially if you're saying stay back. If you keep coming forward, I'm going to defend myself, right? And if they keep coming forward, there's no mistake. They know that if they come forward further and they get in range, you're going to defend yourself. You've got every right to, okay? Tick the two boxes. Do they have intent to hurt you? Do they have the ability of hurting you? Yes, they're committing assault. They're already breaking the law, okay? So put yourself in an advantageous position, okay? We can always also put ourselves in an advantageous position using the environment around us, okay? For example, if trees are just popped over here a bit and I came over this way, this is not an advantageous position because I'm now blocking this way off. I can't go this way, okay? It would be better if she was here for me to be coming out this way, okay? And preferably not with this table behind me. Get into a position where you've got movement, you've got the ability to move. You need that space to be able to move, okay? So when you position yourself in the best position, also think about the environment that you're in, okay? Make sure that you are not just focusing what we call tunnel vision. Don't be like this, where you're just tunnel visioning on this person. You must be aware of your surroundings, okay? It's one of the most important things. I think I've already covered it, okay? Be aware of your surroundings. Yes, focus on this person, but don't neglect all of this around you as well. People might be trying to get behind you, okay? Be aware of your surroundings so that you know where to move and things like that, okay? To make sure you're not going to bang into things or you're not going to get yourself cornered in any way, okay? And if you do bang into something, then you should be doing movement where if you hit something, okay, you're just going to stop and lock in and you'll be able to carry on forward doing whatever you need to do. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's position. It's extremely important to know this as you're doing technique. Keep them in your centre. Stay out of their centre. It's very important because you're strengthening yourself and you're weakening them.